What happened to the Chiefs' offense in the second half of their win against the Browns? Now, I'm not going to pretend like the offense was firing on all cylinders in the first half, but the Chiefs had 311 yards of offense in this game, and by the time we get here, which is 12:59 to go in the third quarter, the Chiefs have gained 238 of those 311 yards. After that, we've got 3 and out, 10-yard drive, 3 and out, 3 and out, 10-play 41-yard drive that ends in a failed fourth down conversion, and then a garbage time drive with Carson Wentz. So we've got 5 meaningful drives with Patrick Mahomes that come after this point in the game when they scored a touchdown to Xavier Worthy. In those 5 drives, 3 of them were 3 and outs. One, they gained 1 first down and then punted, and the other one was a 41-yard drive that ended in a failed fourth down conversion. In those 5 drives, I've picked out 10 plays to look at. Let's look at those plays in some detail and try to figure out if we can get an answer as to what was going on with the Chiefs' offense in the second half of this game. All right, so this is the first drive after the Worthy touchdown. So the Chiefs are up 21-0 at this point, and they've got the ball. This is the third quarter with 12:42 to go in the quarter. The Chiefs have 1st and 10 here on the 44-yard line of the Browns. So one of the most common refrains about what happened in the second half was people lamenting how little the Chiefs ran the ball. So we'll talk a little bit about that too. And on that note, on this first down, I want you to take into note how many people the Browns have up in the box. So this is not at all a run favorable formation, right, defensively. Like the Browns have 8 right here in the box, and they have, their corner here, because their receivers are in condensed sets, even these corners are fairly close. It could come fit the run. But their decision to put 8 in the box and drop 1 safety deep makes it, not a favorable situation for the offense to run the ball. Like, you can understand why a team would want to pass out of this formation. The Chiefs are here in 12 personnel. They've got Kareem Hunt, the running back. Travis Kelce's over here, the tight end. Noah Gray is the other tight end over here. The wide receivers are Xavier Worthy and DeAndre Hopkins. They're going to start out, well, let me run the play once and then we can come back and look at it. So here's the play, a throw out right to Kelce, and it is broken up in the secondary. So let's look into what happened there and why we were in this position. First of all, the Chiefs are devoting a lot of attention to Myles Garrett here on the edge, right? Joe Thuney's playing left tackle. He is not a tackle. He's probably the best option, at least the Chiefs felt like, of what they got now, but he's still not a tackle, even though he's a good lineman. And they're giving him a lot of help, partially because you'd probably give anybody a lot of help against Myles Garrett. And honestly, I feel like Thuney acquitted himself pretty well in this game. He did as well as you could expect. But the reason I'm bringing it up now is because Noah Gray is going to chip Myles Garrett on his way out to the flat. So he's like a delayed dump-off option. So he's really not really someone we're looking at as a serious threat in the pass game on this play. So Kareem Hunt is also just going to come out into the flat. So you really have 3 main receivers you're looking for in this route combination. Juan Thornhill's the middle of the field safety. He's going to drop back and play deep middle. And then you're going to have the corners on either side drop back too for a cover 3 zone look. And you're just going to have the underneath guys drop out in zones. The Chiefs are going to have DeAndre Hopkins come up and curl. They're going to have Xavier Worthy come in and run a deep corner. And then they're going to have Travis Kelce run a corner pattern off of that. It's a pretty common combination that they do here. So as you see this combination develop, here's Mahomes hitting the back of his drop, and Kelce's breaking out right here into the corner. So what Mahomes sees as he's deciding to throw this ball, right, he sees Worthy clearing out the defender on this side. This is backside, so he doesn't see Hopkins open over here. Hopkins does a good job finding space, but by the time Mahomes is moved over here, it's hard to gauge how open somebody is when he's not looking in that direction. Once he turns around, defenders will start moving back a little bit, so that window is actually tighter than it looks. So Mahomes comes here and he's readying to throw, and he sees Worthy carrying this guy, Kelsey breaking out into the open area underneath, and so he's really worried about the underneath defender right here when he's placing the ball. He doesn't want this guy to be able to drop back and intercept this. This is a throw he's made to Kelsey many times, but Juan Thornhill knows Patrick Mahomes. He played on the Chiefs for 4 years. He knows the route combinations. And if you look, from middle of field safety, he's shading already toward Kelsey as Kelsey goes into his break. And as Mahomes releases this, Juan Thornhill just commits. And Juan Thornhill is extremely fast for a safety. He's just a fast player in general. And he manages to sell out entirely, dive in front of this ball, and knock it down. I mean, it would have been an awesome interception if he'd been able to intercept it, but he was at least able to knock it down. The underneath defender comes and makes a good attempt, but this throw would have gotten past him to Kelsey if not for Thornhill's effort. And you can see here, Mahomes, if you look from this angle, Mahomes is actually doing exactly what he's supposed to do in this situation. If you watch at the snap, he's staring right down the middle, trying to hold Thornhill here in the middle of the field to open up that corner for Kelsey. And then he comes over and throws it. But Thornhill knows these guys. This is just a really good anticipation of what the play is, and just Thornhill's really athletic. Like most safeties, even if they knew that this was coming at when Thornhill did, wouldn't be able to get there. But you can see with Mahomes' ball placement, the reason why I pointed out that he's worried about this underneath defender, this ball is to Kelsey's back shoulder. Watch it come in. See, this ball comes toward Kelsey's back shoulder, and that makes it easier for Thornhill to get a hand on it. The reason why he doesn't put it out in front of Kelsey comes, you can see it easier from this view. Remember, this is the guy he's worried about. You're not thinking that the middle, he's already thrown the ball, so Thornhill looks closer, but let's go back to when he's about to throw. He's about to throw here. Kelsey's breaking in this direction. This isn't the guy. I mean, maybe you could argue with Juan Thornhill, you should be worried about it because he's athletic and he knows you guys. But in general, in this position, you're not worried about that guy. You're worried about that guy. So Mahomes is intentionally putting this toward the body or back shoulder even of Kelsey to prevent this guy from dropping out in front of Kelsey and picking the pass off. So, but it's unfortunate that ball placement made it easier for Thornhill to get to the ball. So look at it over here. You can see since the throw is a little behind, it makes it harder for him to get involved, but it makes it easier for Thornhill to get involved, and Thornhill knocked the pass down. This was a good offensive play. It was just a better defensive play. So it was one example of one way in which, if this pass hadn't been read so quickly by Thornhill, if he hadn't got there, that's a big gain for the Chiefs and a big start on a drive where they ultimately didn't gain any yardage. All right, so after that incomplete pass to Kelsey, the next play was a run. For those of you who are wondering why they didn't run the ball very much, the next play was a run by Kareem Hunt that gained 0 yards. So now the Chiefs are in third down. They're at 3rd and 10 at the 44-yard line. And let's see how the play goes. So here we got Mahomes dropping back out of shotgun, throws it deep left to DeAndre Hopkins, who appeared to make the catch live, but when you watch the replay, unfortunately, the nose of the ball barely hit the ground as it was bobbled around, so it turned out to be an incomplete pass. But let's get into the play here. So the Chiefs are out here now in 12 personnel again. They've got one running back, Samaje Perine, and their tight ends are Noah Gray and Travis Kelce. The wide receivers are Xavier Worthy and DeAndre Hopkins down here. Okay, so as we get set up here, they've got Myles Garrett now. Is that Myles Garrett over here still? That is Myles Garrett over here. So Perine is the one helping over here, and Noah Gray is in chip helping over here on the other end. It's helping out Juwan Taylor. So again, we're looking at a route combination where you basically have 3 guys that you're looking for as like serious routes. Now, the Browns kind of start showing too high up here, but they actually end up rotating the safety down, and Thornhill is going to be on his own as the single high. This safety that's coming down actually is going to be in man coverage on Samaje Perine. because they're going to end up looping a blitzer around to try to get to Mahomes. So they're playing cover one man, and they have nobody in the middle of the field. And the Chiefs' route combination, they're just running Hopkins on a go route, they're running Worthy on a go route, and they've got Kelsey up in the middle. He does kind of a choice route, ends up running it over. So you see as the play develops, Mahomes takes his drop, and he, seeing the safety in the middle of the field, who Thornhill is really giving attention to Kelsey here, Mahomes decides he likes this for Hopkins. Since the defender's over the top, the idea is to throw this with more of a back shoulder location so that Hopkins can come back for it. Typically, when you have somebody beating the defender, that's when you decide to throw it up over the top. When you have the defender behind, you can throw the ball behind and allow your receiver to come back to it, which is what Mahomes does in this situation. He gets it back to Hopkins, who makes a good play on the ball, but as he gets to the ground, the ball pops up in the air. And it's right here that, unfortunately, the nose of the ball just happened to graze the ground, because as it came up and came back down, Hopkins actually came down with it. They initially ruled it a catch, but with replay assist, they saw the nose hitting the ground, so this was overturned. The Chiefs actually challenged it and lost the challenge because of that. And so you can see here, Mahomes very early is looking over to Hopkins. This is his first read. This is his first guy. When he sees he's in that pure one-on-one look, he's going to go for it. He makes the catch, comes down with the ball and loses it as he hits the ground pretty hard. And it is too bad that the nose of the ball just hit the ground. But you can see here now the stunt was actually picked up really well by Tooney. So what the Browns are trying to do is what we've talked about in previous film reviews. They're bringing their guys in here and they're trying to loop a guy around. Their hope is that the pressure coming in like this is going to get Mahomes to bail to his left, and then the looper can come out and get him, similarly to what the Chargers were doing last week. But look at how well the line passes it off here. Tooney shoves the guy, Garrett, over into this interior line, and he comes and he picks up the stunt perfectly from Hicks, which is one reason why Mahomes has a decent amount of time to try to make this play. Creed kind of loses the interior guy a little bit because Caliendo has to pass him off in order to get Garrett on the stunt. So there's still some kinks to be worked out, but this is pretty well done. Definitely well done enough for Mahomes to get this throw off. Unfortunately, Hopkins just wasn't able to come down with it. And it's a tough catch. And I know this is the third straight film review in which I'm saying, like, you know what? Hopkins is going to catch these kinds of balls. Like, the first time it was like, well, that was unusual. He's not going to drop passes like that. Last week it happened again. I still maintain, DeAndre Hopkins makes catches like this. That's what he does. And he's had a rough run of 3 straight games where he has dropped 3 very difficult catches. I still am not anticipating this to be a long-term problem. I think that this connection will be great. He will make tough catches down the stretch, and the Chiefs will be okay. But to put a bow on this drive, this was a 3-and-out in which they ran 3 plays. They gained 0 yards. The first play didn't really make sense to run the ball. They were 8 in the box. It was a good concept. Thornhill read it and made a really great play and knocked it down. Second play, they ran it. Third play, they had it. They had it to Hopkins. Hopkins just wasn't able to come down with it. So honestly, this was not an offensive drive that would really worry me a lot. It's unfortunate they weren't able to move the ball, get into at least field goal range, but the plays look good. Unfortunately, one was an execution issue, one was the defense just making a good play. So now we're on to the second drive after the Worthy touchdown. We are on the 4th play of the drive now, so the Chiefs have gained a first down. Again, for those of you talking about why the Chiefs didn't run the ball, in the first 4 plays of this drive, the Chiefs have run the ball twice for a total of -1 yard. On second down, they ran it for 1 yard, and now after getting the first down, the play before this play, Pacheco ran the ball for a 2-yard loss. So now the Chiefs are in 2nd and 12, which is generally, that's a passing situation here, so we can understand why they didn't run it on this play. And additionally, another reason why they may not have run it is that the Browns are showing blitz. So they've got these two linebackers up here mugging things up. This looks like a risk for, when you've got everybody down here, this is a risk for like a cover 0 look, right? They might actually be sending a 7th, but then they do kind of drop these two back. So maybe, they're going to actually end up in a single high situation. But right pre-snap, it looked kind of like this could be cover 0. They might be set in the house here with no deep safety. Then they're kind of dropping somebody back, but they are blitzing. So the Chiefs need a hot situation, and let's run the play real quick and then break down what happens. So Mahomes drops back, fires the ball quickly, and it is a short incompletion. So what happened on this play? So Mahomes, Kelsey, Hopkins, and the offensive line were all on the same page that this is a blitz. We need something hot. We need to gain some yards. So the line shifts this way, and they end up leaving Myles Garrett as like a free guy. Hunt could chip him or get out into the flat. Hunt just gets out into the flat here. So Garrett's coming free. They're going to have to throw quickly. So Kelsey comes up to run a little hitch. Hopkins does the same thing on this side, runs a little hitch. Mahomes, knowing he has to get the ball out quickly, keys on Kelsey's hitch and wants to throw it immediately. However, on this blitz, these guys are actually blitzing. The edge guy is showing blitz and then dropping into a zone right in front of Kelsey's hitch. And so as Mahomes gets ready to throw, he sees the guy drop and just throws the ball into the dirt. If you can see, he just throws it right downward right there into the dirt. He dirts the ball because he's already started his throwing motion, and he's not going to be able to bring this one back in, and he doesn't want to throw an interception, obviously, or put the ball in harm's way, so he just throws it into the dirt. So again, this play blown up just by the fact that the Browns happen to have the right play call for what the Chiefs wanted to do in this situation. Unfortunately for the Chiefs, like if their kind of pre-snap check or their read had been him running an out, this could have been perfect, exactly what you want. But since he was running just a hitch right there, it happened to be right in front of, or the defensive end happened to get right in the path of where the ball was supposed to go, and Mahomes wisely just throws it into the dirt. You can see it here from this angle. Mahomes is coming back, and he's immediately going to Kelsey, and you look, the end is already dropping back here, and so Mahomes just tosses it right into the ground. And so that's another play kind of blown up by the fact that the Browns had a good call. They were set up really well for that situation. Again, not really a situation where you run the ball. They're at 2nd and 12 because they just did run the ball and lost 2 yards. So they came out here also because the Browns seemed to be showing pressure, and they did come with pressure. So not a good situation to run into. The Browns had the right play call for the right situation, and the Chiefs, unfortunately, were looking for the hitch. Like I said, if they had been going with an out or something else, this might have been a nice little gain and set them up for 3rd and manageable. But unfortunately, the Chiefs now are stuck in 3rd and 12, and we're going to have to try to convert that one. So now we're on the very next play. They had failed to convert that 2nd and 12. Now it's 3rd and 12 with 4:29 to go in the third quarter, and Chiefs are trying to find a way to convert a first down here. So let's run the play real quick, and then we'll come back and break it down. So Mahomes drops back, feels pressure from his left, so he rolls right, not able to get a throw off, and so eventually just throws it away in order to preserve some field position and not take a sack. So let's get into a little bit of what happened on this play. So really, the initial issue is, we can talk personnel and everything first. We've got one running back, one tight end. That's Pirine and Kelsey. That gives us 11 personnel. And we've got Worthy, Watson, and Hopkins as the 3 wide receivers. The first issue with this play here is that they are chipping over here on Myles Garrett, but unfortunately, the chip's coming from the outside, and he pulls a nasty spin move to get to the inside. So as Mahomes goes back, he has Myles Garrett coming free. And so before the routes can really develop here, if you look, everybody's still trying to get deep. This is longer developing routes because of the distance need to cover. It's 3rd and 12. And Kelsey started out by helping out on the edge over here, so he hasn't even come out in his route yet. But by the time Garrett comes free, nobody is open at this point, and Mahomes ends up having to bail to his right. So he starts to run. He has Kelsey right here. But he doesn't want that because the first down marker is right there. So at this point, Mahomes turns down the little dump off to Kelsey because he's trying to see if he can do something to get the first down. And so he, as he usually does, he kind of keys in on Kelsey to see if they can work something together and get something open. He does have Hopkins backside, but he's running this way, and this is a long throw, so Hopkins is not really open. Like maybe if he had been in the pocket and he didn't have to scramble, if he had been able to hit Hopkins right out of his break right here, like imagine instead of running that way, Mahomes is standing in the pocket without having had this pressure, he could probably have hit this and gotten a first down. So the pressure kind of ruined the possibility of that route. Now when you're running the other way, you can't really do that. This throw would take way too long. Hopkins is not open from that distance. Like I said, he turned down Kelsey. Worthy does a good job of kind of, as he's coming in, looking and feeling the zone here and trying to find an open area. Mahomes, unfortunately, at this point right here, he has keyed on Kelsey, and Worthy is, kind of stopped right there. By the time that Mahomes could look at Worthy, he's got this defender in his face. So again, it's the pressure that kind of ruined this. Like the Hopkins backside throw, he couldn't look at because he had to run. The Worthy throw, if this tackle that did a great job getting out there had been a little slower, then maybe he would have been able to look up and get to Worthy. But the only real option he had was Kelsey down here, and that wasn't going to get you a first down, so he wasn't going to take it. So he ends up not being able to evade the tackle, and seeing as he's got pursuit from the backside, it's not like he can really cut in. So he ends up having to throw this ball away, which is unfortunate because Worthy, to his credit, did a really great job finding a void here. So if Mahomes wasn't dealing with the defensive tackle right in his face, this could have been a situation where he would unload and get one down to Worthy for a first down. Unfortunately, it wasn't possible in the circumstance. So again, if you look, Mahomes is looking down the middle. Hopkins is about to break and get open. If Mahomes had another half a second to a second, he might have been able to hang in there and get Hopkins right here. And Hopkins was about a yard or two shy of the first down marker. He might have gotten a first down. But instead, Mahomes has to bail, feels the pressure. You can see he's looking at Kelsey. Kelsey's off screen right now, but he's looking over at Kelsey, but Kelsey is short. He's still eyes on Kelsey, and this is about where Worthy starts breaking toward the sideline open. But Mahomes is now concerned with this guy in his face. He can't set his feet and get a throw downfield. And as he thinks about cutting back, he sees the pursuit coming. He knows he can't really cut back toward the middle of the field. Now the tackle's on him, and he ultimately just has to throw it away. So this was a play, the third down, really blown up by that pressure from Myles Garrett. He's an all-pro, reigning defensive player of the year. Got to hand it to him. Sometimes he's going to get you and blow things up, and that's what happened on this play. It was just completely blown up by great pressure from Myles Garrett, and the Chiefs were forced to punt again. All right, so now we're on the third of the 5 drives that we've been talking about. And this play is a 2nd and 10 that the Chiefs have on their 30-yard line with 3:13 to go in the third quarter. So the Browns have just scored their touchdown on a 62-yard run. So it's now 21-7. Chiefs getting the ball back after that. So first thing to note as everybody gets lined up, we're again going to continue to have that discussion about running the ball. So this is a 2nd and 10. And if you, I didn't have time to do in this video to do every single play, but the first down play, the Browns had one person, one deep safety, everybody else up at the line, so not a favorable run look, and it was an incomplete pass. Here, again, they've got 7 immediately in the box. They're only going to have one deep safety, so they have an extra safety to come here in the run fit. Again, this is not a favorable look to run the ball against. They have numbers on defense against the run, and 2nd and 10 is not always a great time to run, even though Andy Reid does it quite a bit. But so let's run the play, see what they do on 2nd and 10, and then let's break it down. So they end up sending Juju in motion. Mahomes drops back, the pocket collapses, and he's not able to get the ball to Juju over the middle. It gets knocked down by Jordan Hicks. So if we look at the play design here, so what they're really trying to do, against this, what ends up being a cover 3 zone. See, so you've got 1, 2, 3 dropping back, and they've got defenders underneath. So it's usually a pretty favorable combination to throw underneath against. So once you've kind of extended the defense back, then there should be some pockets that open up, especially here in the middle of the field. And you can see both Juju and Kelsey are trying to find voids in the zone. So Mahomes drops back, and if you see from his perspective, the Browns do a great job of crushing this pocket. It's collapsing immediately. Like, he just hits the back of his drop and doesn't even get a second to survey. Look at where everybody is. Everyone's still trying to find their openings as Mahomes is trying to get rid of the ball because he's got so much pressure. So he ends up having to step through the pocket, but Myles Garrett does a great job of seeing that and wrapping around to provide added pressure. And it's really too bad because if you look at it here, Juju finds a void in the zone, and so does Kelsey. And the reason why the middle linebacker moves toward Juju because Mahomes is escaping on the right side and the right, it looks like the right B gap. So the linebacker kind of shades over this way. Kelsey comes wide open right here. But with Myles Garrett coming over, there's no hope for Mahomes to be able to survey and throw. He is completely rushed, and you're definitely not going to try to throw it across the path of a giant defensive lineman with an incredible wingspan. So this option to Kelsey is negated by the pressure. If Mahomes had been able to sit in the pocket, it's likely that both Kelsey and Juju could have been open on this play, because what happens is as Mahomes moves to his right, Hicks kind of leans that way and cuts off the passing lane, and Kelsey comes more open. But if Hicks had kind of been sitting in the middle, it's possible Mahomes would have been able to fit this throw in. Unfortunately, as he comes up, Hicks does get in the way, and he tries to make this throw low, and Hicks is able to get a hand on it and knock it away. You can see it better from this view. As Mahomes drops back, the pocket collapses almost immediately, like he's got nothing. And so he tries to step up through, and this is where Myles Garrett does a great job coming around. Because what happens probably if Garrett doesn't do that is Hicks has to come up, and that provides an opening for him to throw this to Juju. But since Garrett gets in there, Mahomes tries to fire it right in there, and Hicks does a good job. He's already kind of shaded over. And like we said, it's also unfortunate that Garrett was there because Kelsey was open on the backside, but this is not a realistic throw to try to make, to throw from this position with a guy coming over this shoulder to try to throw across your body that way is just, I mean, Mahomes is good, but that's pretty much impossible. So a 2nd and 10 goes incomplete, and the Chiefs move to 3rd and 10. All right, so this is the next play now. We're in 3rd and 10. The Chiefs come out here in 11 personnel. They've got P. Ryan, the running back, Kelsey, the tight end. 3 wide receivers are Watson, Hopkins, and Xavier Worthy. Let's run the play, and then we can break down what happened. So Mahomes comes in the gun. They send Watson in motion. Mahomes drops back and flushed right. He throws and over the head of Xavier Worthy, who was running a deep over. So what the Chiefs are going to do on this play, they've got Watson coming in motion here, and they're going to take both Watson and Hopkins over and send Xavier Worthy on a deep over the other way. Kelsey is going to come and chip help on Myles Garrett and then leak out late. Remember, this is 3rd and 10. The Browns are basically, they're just running cover one man. So Thornhill's the deep safety, and they actually, again, take the robber and blitz. So they're going to bring 5, and then because Kelsey chips to start, they end up having a 6th come delay, and they just leave Kelsey. Mahomes feels the pressure because there's a big blitz coming, and so he rolls over to the right. It looks like this play design is like a deep mesh, essentially. You know, the mesh concept is when you'll have a receiver run underneath to run like kind of a pick route and have another receiver come over to try to get open. But they're kind of doing the same thing at a deeper level. They're having these two guys run over routes and trying to get Worthy to come through. Worthy's defender is so far off of him. That's the respect that Worthy commands here. So Worthy really doesn't have any trouble beating his man over the middle. He didn't need any interference or anything. But he comes open. I mean, he's got the safety Thornhill over the top, but Worthy's open. And a lot of times when there are misses between Mahomes and Worthy, I'm looking at it like, well, did he think Worthy was going to come this way? But in this case, the side adjustment is that Worthy should keep this flat, right? He's got somebody on his back hip and he's got a safety over the top. It doesn't really make sense for him to take this route farther down. It looks to me like Mahomes just messed this up. Like, I don't think the ball should have been thrown where he threw it. I think that this is a ball that should be put out in front of Worthy right here. On a lot of previous ones, it was kind of like, well, it's hard to tell. Like, maybe the adjustment was that he expected Worthy to do one thing, not the other. This case, I don't know. Like, it's really hard to... So Mahomes throws it about when Worthy's running like this. So I guess from this position, well, here I am talking myself into it. Like maybe, because you really have to look at it when he's kind of making the throw. So he's coming to make the throw right here. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's possible. He thought Worthy was continuing on a diagonal trajectory. But when you've got the safety over the top, it just makes a lot more sense for this to be broken flat the way that Worthy does it. Like, I think Worthy makes a good decision here. Now, the one I think critique you could probably have is that if Worthy gets into the habit of not bending his routes over so much, when you kind of run that soft cut, it makes it a little harder for the quarterback to tell what direction you're going. So maybe the point is that he should kind of stick his foot in the ground and change his direction more quickly, but I don't know. To me, I'm not sure why Mahomes put the ball there. I feel like this has got to be thrown like somewhere around the 49 yard line, and this would have been a first down. Like there might be some nuances in the route running, like I was just saying, that maybe, that's kind of beyond my understanding, and someone who plays quarterback or receiver at a high level might be able to tell us a little more specifically. But to me, ultimately, like I just feel like with that coverage, it makes sense for the ball to go where Worthy was running. And I don't know if Mahomes, it just looks like he missed him. And that's too bad because, again, this is another situation where the play was there. We're talking about the third drive now. Like, play was there for them to move the ball. They just didn't execute. Like, this isn't a team that's not creating chances or that's getting flummoxed. True, they had some trouble with pressure we saw on that play with Garrett, but here on third down, on the first drive, the third down play was there. Hopkins wasn't able to haul it in. Here, the third down play was there. Mahomes just missed Worthy. Like, the plays are there. They've got to make them. All right, so now we're starting the fourth drive out of the 5 we were going to talk about. The Chiefs are still up 21-7, and they've got the ball first down and 10 now at their own 26-yard line or so. So let's run this play once, and then we'll come back and talk about it. So Mahomes drops back, gets pressure, comes out the left B gap, throws it to Worthy, who's not able to hang on to the pass. Incomplete pass here. So the first thing I'll say is, of all the plays we've looked at for those that talk about wanting the Chiefs to run the ball, this is the first one that I feel like people could have a gripe. This is a light box, right? There are only 6 in the box. My counter to that is the reason it's a light box is because the Chiefs are also in a lighter personnel. They're in 11 personnel, so they're in passing personnel. They've got 1 running back, 1 tight end. That's 11 personnel. And their 3 wide receivers are Hopkins up here, Worthy here, and Juju Smith-Schuster down here. So they're less equipped to block for a run also. But if you want to say, like, well, there was a light box, they could have run it here, it's the end of the third quarter, they're up 2 scores, they could have run it, fine. The only other counter I would say is that, remember, since Worthy scored that touchdown, the Chiefs at this point have run the ball 3 times for a total of -1 yard. So they've been struggling with pressure. They're not really interested in putting themselves behind the sticks and running for nothing. You could argue their incomplete passes are putting them behind the sticks too, and that's true. But so like I said, this one is at least debatable. There are only 6 in the box, but they are in lighter personnel as well. So I could see people being on both sides of this argument. Mahomes takes the snap, and if you see, the Browns are playing cover 1 man again. They've got the underneath guy, and the underneath guy is basically doubling Kelsey inside. Worthy came out on an out route, and Juju's running a clear out on this side. And then you see on this side, Hopkins is running an over. So Mahomes, again, has 0 chance to do anything because as he hits the back of his drop, Myles Garrett is beating Worthy. Myles Garrett is beating Tooney around the edge. And look, Tooney held his own for a lot of this game. Myles Garrett's really good. They left Tooney one-on-one on him for this play, and that's just a lot to ask. And he got him around the arc. I mean, ultimately, like, this would have still been okay, but the interior line is also collapsing. So as they collapse, Mahomes doesn't have any room in the pocket to actually just step up. He has to escape through the B gap, which he does. And that's okay, except that it kind of narrows the field for him now. He's running toward his left as a right-handed guy, and then it exposes him to guys coming up and pressuring him. So Mahomes suddenly, like, these options on the other side of the field aren't available to him. He basically just has Worthy, who, to his credit, does a great job here. If you watch Worthy, he had finished his out. He sees scramble drills started. He pushes up field and then comes back at the first down marker. He does everything right except catch the ball. Mahomes gets it to him. It's a tough catch, but Worthy's got to bring that in. So this was a play that got ruined initially by pressure. One of the few times that they didn't chip over there to help, and they paid the price. But even then, they did enough. Mahomes and Worthy created enough here. Worthy just couldn't bring it in. And that's really unfortunate. That play was there. And again, the Chiefs, they did enough here to make this happen. They just have to connect on the catch. This is all there. We got it to Worthy. This could have been a 9-yard gain and really set them up in good position. But unfortunately, Worthy just wasn't able to bring it in. All right, we're on the next play now. It's 2nd and 10. So this is that 4th drive we were talking about. The Chiefs have the ball at their 26-yard line, 2nd and 10, with 14 seconds to go in the third quarter. Now again, I'm going to keep beating this drum, but for those that were asking about why the Chiefs weren't running the ball so much, look, we've got 8 near the line of scrimmage. Again, not a favorable situation to run the ball. You can understand why the Chiefs didn't run the ball in this situation on this play. Well, let's run the play, and let's see what happened. As you can see, Mahomes was pressured almost immediately by Myles Garrett and had basically no option whatsoever on this play. So here's Mahomes. As he drops back, they again try to chip to help Joe Tooney on Myles Garrett with Kareem Hunt from the outside. But Garrett rushes power and goes straight into him, making the chip essentially useless. He walks Tooney back. Caliendo sees this happening and tries to help out. And he hits Garrett, ends up hitting him right into Mahomes' feet as Mahomes is trying to slide to his left. And so Mahomes isn't able to get off a meaningful throw at all. So again, this is immediate pressure. Routes aren't even like developing yet. Again, like with Mahomes moving to his left, it's kind of difficult to say, but Kelce does pop open here. Part of that is because this defender is reading Mahomes' eyes and coming left. Hopkins does win on the outside. So if Mahomes had been able to stand in the pocket, he's got this throw right there. So again, the play was there. It's not like, the Browns just rushed 4. This was Myles Garrett just making a big play and, again, wrecking the offense. So Garrett, as you can see, even up until this point, Garrett had his fair share of plays where he just kind of destroyed what the Chiefs were trying to do and made it impossible for them to function. And that happened on this play as well. So now we jump ahead. We've got 8:07 to go in the fourth quarter, and the Chiefs are moving now. They have gone 41 yards in 8 plays, finally moving the ball, still up 21-7 as we near the midway point of the fourth quarter. For those of you asking about running the ball, of those 8 plays so far, 3 of them were runs, and those 3 runs went for a total of 5 yards. The 5 passes went for a total of 36 yards. And here we are on 3rd and 3. So let's take a look at what's going on, and then we'll break it down. So Mahomes takes the snap, drops back, moves to his left, and tosses one to Noah Gray, floats it. They weren't able to connect, and so that's an incompletion on 3rd and 3. So let's break down what happens. So first off, the Chiefs are here, and they are in 12 personnel. Samaje Perine is the running back. The 2 tight ends are Noah Gray and Travis Kelce. What the Browns are going to do on defense is they're going to run single high. So you can see here they've got the deep safety, and they're manned up underneath. They do kind of a man match, and we will sort out what exactly they do in just a second. But the interesting part to me, beyond their kind of handoff match concept, is their pressure concept. So what they seem like they're doing here is they're trying to do, we've talked about this over and over again, how teams will try to send pressure a certain way, get Mahomes to move a certain way, and then get a rusher in that area to pressure him. So in this case, they seem to be bringing everybody in, but it's not like they're forcing them down the line to get them to come out this way, because that's one strategy, right? People will kind of ram into the line, have somebody loop around, and then have Mahomes run into the looper. That doesn't seem to be the case here. They seem to be rushing this way with the idea of forcing him that way. And Myles Garrett drops off and waits, and he looks like he wants to be in space one-on-one against Tooney. And then as Mahomes drips over there, Garrett likes his chances of getting around Tooney in space and pressuring Mahomes. Watch how this is done. So see how, in this case, the end isn't kind of spiking in flat. So the spiking in flat would be like running right toward the guard. The end is still coming around. So this is more of like a looping pressure to try to force him to go that way. And he does. If you notice, he drifts over to the left a little bit. And look what Myles Garrett has done. He drops off completely. And, Myles Garrett is an athlete, right? So when he's in space against a lineman, especially a guard, he's going to try to... He likes his chances of being able to get around him and pressure. Interesting little design there from Jim Schwartz. All right, so what are the Chiefs doing? The Chiefs are running one of their kind of staples. We've talked about this on previous film reviews this season, but they like to run receivers against man across, then have the running back release the other way as like a natural pick setup to get the running back open and get a first down. Remember, this is 3rd and 3. So Gray and Watson are tasked as being the pickers. Kelce and this looks like Juju are coming across the other way as like deep options. But as you can see, 2 things happen. One is that the whole idea here is to create traffic. One of the things is that the Browns pass off the traffic really well. So their underneath zone defender is this fellow right here. As Noah Gray comes across and kind of comes free, because this defender and this defender kind of run into each other, which is the goal of these kinds of things, the Browns pass it off, so the underneath defender takes Noah Gray, and this guy becomes the new underneath defender. So it kind of negates the whole crosser causing confusion thing. And if he had to stay with Noah Gray, he would have been lost in this situation, having run past his defender. Look at how far behind Gray he is. But the Browns communicated this very well. He immediately just sinks back to be the underneath guy, and he goes with Noah Gray, so they kind of keep that coverage on him. Additionally, Watson is the guy who's tasked with picking Jordan Hicks, who's the one who's responsible for Pirine in the flat. So they're hoping to get Watson to interfere with Hicks enough that Pirine can get open. The problem is that where Watson and Hicks collide, and Watson again does a really good job of stopping and trying to get out of the way so that he doesn't get an offensive pass interference call. It's still, Pirine hasn't gotten enough width here yet for this to impede Hicks enough to stop him from staying with him. Hicks is fast enough that he's able to just come around and stay tight to Pirine. So Mahomes doesn't have, this is the primary option on this play. Mahomes doesn't have him open. And so then he comes back over to his left, sees Gray and likes Gray on a linebacker, and he actually floats a nice little touch pass, and Gray's just quite not able to haul it in. He gets a hand on it, but can't reel it in. If Gray, unfortunately, had just here, if he had just been drifting just a yard back, this would have been a completed pass for a first down. But the other kind of real sad part about this play is, look at how open Justin Watson is in the middle of the field. After trying to do that pick, Watson got kind of forgotten. And so if Mahomes had, if you see, it's harder to see on this view, but we'll see it later. Mahomes is looking over at Gray. He doesn't see Watson whatsoever. And what we'll see from the other view is he likes this matchup. So he has no reason to come off of Gray. He likes Gray on a linebacker. He thinks he can get him. And see how Gray has like depth behind. So you can see why Mahomes floated this, because that's where Gray kind of has the leverage, the advantage. Unfortunately, Gray kind of was a little flat on this. If Gray is a little bit deeper, which is where he has leverage, then this is a completed pass. And, if he breaks the tackle, who knows? But so realistically, when people talk about missing a wide receiver, like Mahomes sees a guy one-on-one that he likes, why would you look off of that guy to try to find somebody else? You wouldn't. Like, you got the matchup you want, you throw the pass. It's just too bad that Justin Watson ended up popping wide open, and if Watson catches this, that guy can build up some speed. I mean, I don't think he scores or anything like that, but he might have gotten 10 to 15 yards. Same might have been true of Gray, though, if he had been able to make this catch and this defender wasn't able to tackle him. It's just too bad that that didn't work out, and that ended up being a failed third down conversion here. So I can see it again. This is the play that Mahomes wants. Look at him. He's looking at Pirine. He's following Pirine. This is what they want. And you see Watson come here, try to set the pick. Hicks already right on top of Pirine, and Mahomes sees it fast. Watch him looking over, and he knows as he sees this that he's not going to have that. That's not going to be what he wants. So he comes back over. I mean, he also has to come over because the right side of his line is getting moved back. So he comes left, and look at him. He's looking at Gray right here, and he thinks he has it. Like, he's not looking off of that. Look, right when he saw Gray, he was like, all right, let's do this. He likes this throw. Gray has some separation. Man, if Gray had just been a little bit back, or if that ball had just had a tad more touch on it, I mean, he still gets a nice hand on it. If he was just able to pull that in, that would have been a huge play. But you can also see how open Justin Watson is. But Mahomes, as you can see, he's made the decision. He sees that he wants to throw it. Why would he look back over here? Next time he goes back to look at Gray now might not be open anymore. So there's no reason in this situation when you have a guy who you feel like is winning to go look at somebody else. And they should have been able to connect on that. It's really unfortunate they didn't. But honestly, I feel like the play was played really well. It was just a little bit off, and that's the difference sometimes. So they aren't able to convert on 3rd and 3. Now it's 4th down. All right, so now we're at the 4th down play. This would be the last play that Mahomes played in this game because he ended up getting injured on this play. One thing I forgot to mention when discussing the previous play is this would be another situation where I would be okay with hearing some criticism about the running, because if you know you're going to go for it on 4th down, then when you have 3rd and 3, I can understand people being like, well, why didn't you just try running the ball on 3rd and 3? Especially as, the Browns did seem a little more geared up for the pass there. So that, I think, was reasonable. As I said, of the 10 plays, there was that one earlier where there was a 1st down, and there were only 6 in the box, even though the Chiefs were in 11 personnel. And then that 3rd down play where it's like, well, if you know you're going to go for it on 4th, maybe you just run the ball on 3rd down and try to convert that one. In any case, here we are on 4th down, 4th and 3, and let's run the play and see what happens. Mahomes drops back, and the pocket starts collapsing. He gets nailed as he tries to throw it and is unable to complete it to Juju Smith-Schuster. And the Chiefs fail to convert. So the Chiefs come out here, and they're in 12 personnel. They've got P. Ryan as the running back, and they've got Gray and Kelsey as the tight ends. The wide receivers are Hopkins and Juju. So what they end up trying to do, again, the Browns are running a cover 1 man, and they end up trying to run a pick concept again. So this time they've got Juju and Gray coming up and Kelsey coming underneath. And it looks like Kelsey's got the option to make this a drag route or a mesh route, like a drag route or a whip route. And you can see here as he comes in, their defender's sitting here waiting on a drag. So there's no point in doing that. So Kelsey comes in and tries to go out on the whip route, but he's not able to win on that route. The defender's with him, so there's nothing there. The option that really was there, if Mahomes had had a second more to throw, was DeAndre Hopkins running his out on the backside. If you see, Hopkins just comes in and runs an out route, and he wins immediately on the out. So this could have been a throw to be made. But even as Hopkins is coming out of his break, Mahomes is feeling the pressure. Again, he just didn't have time in a lot of these pass plays. That the pressure was pretty extreme by the end of this play, this game. The Browns were really kind of daring the Chiefs to throw, coming with 4 and managing to make it happen. Again, the encouraging thing, though, is that guys are getting open here. Hopkins got open, and on the secondary action, Juju gets open too as he comes across the middle. But at this point, Mahomes is stepping up through pressure in the pocket. He sees Juju and tries to make a throw here, but he sees Juju as he steps up and he tries to make a throw, but he gets hit and is not able to throw this ball accurate. He actually jumps into it and tries to make a throw. And then as he's hit from the front, he also has the defensive tackle land on his right ankle. And it's the similar mechanism to what happened to him against the Chargers. Somebody landing on with their weight on him from behind. And his right ankle kind of turned out as he landed, and that's what caused the sprain. But again, we can see it here from this view. So he's looking for Kelsey initially, right? And Kelsey, again, coming in doesn't make sense with the underneath defenders. They were ready with, Thornhill coming down as well, and Hicks, 2 of their better defenders, ready underneath. So Kelsey tries to come out on the whip route, but if you're a defender here, you're not going to overcommit to the drag because you have help inside. So winning on the outside route is very difficult. This defender does a good job of trailing so that he's ready on the whip route. The whole benefit of the whip route is if the defender thinks he's going to get beaten this way. So he overconvinced this way and you can come back out. The problem is he's not scared about that because he's got help inside. So he has no need to overcommit that way. He doesn't want Kelsey to win that way. So he's going to just stay and wait, if fine, go inside, meet the linebacker. But when Kelsey tries to come outside, he's ready for it. And as Mahomes now, the seas kind of part for him, and this is his only option for escape. So he tries to come up, and Juju comes open right there. Mahomes sees him and tries to jump and throw it to him, and he's just hit. He's not able to make an accurate throw. If Mahomes gets hit half second later, he's probably able to get this ball over here instead of where he put it farther over there, and Juju would have been able to come up with this catch. He's just not able to make an accurate throw. And again, you can see 94 right here lands with his body weight on the back of Mahomes' legs, and that's what causes the ankle sprain. And we can quickly look at, if those of you that remember, this is the 2022, at the end of the 2022 season, the divisional playoff game against the Jaguars. This is where Mahomes got injured in the playoffs, and it's a similar mechanism. You can see Arden Key right here. He ends up kind of using more of that hip drop action, although he kind of falls with his weight pretty late. He sinks down to hit him in the back of the legs. That's a little less of a clean play, if you ask me, than the Browns play, right? This defensive tackle clearly just seems to be trying to sack Mahomes, and he gets him right on the legs. Whereas this play, he's kind of got him up top. The ball is out, and then he kind of pulls him down, pulls his body weight down, and lands on him, the back of his legs, and that's what caused the initial injury. You can see it again here. Gets hit, and then kind of comes down on the back of his leg after. So this does look like it's kind of a similar high ankle sprain to what Mahomes had before, and hopefully he will be able to recover as well as he did during that playoff run when the Chiefs ended up winning the Super Bowl. Ultimately, though, looking at what happened to the Chiefs offense, as you can probably tell from this review, I'm not as bothered as most people are about them not running the ball. I don't think they had a lot of favorable run looks. And ultimately, over these 5 drives that we have covered, the Chiefs ran the ball a total of 6 times for 4 yards. So when they were running, it's not like it was working. It was setting them behind the sticks as well. So you can see why Andy abandoned the run with the combination of ineffectiveness of the run and the Browns were loading the box and daring him to throw, and the Chiefs have got to be able to throw better in those situations. There were a combination of things that went wrong. I think the line struggled. Myles Garrett himself blew up a couple plays, or at least made some plays difficult. The line in general struggled. The pocket was collapsed a couple times, including on this 4th down play. And then there were plays to be made, and the Chiefs just didn't make them. Mahomes missed a throw to Worthy. Worthy dropped a pass. Hopkins wasn't able to come up with a pass. That Thornhill made a great play on a throw to Kelsey. I mean, those are 4 big plays that didn't happen. Noah Gray wasn't able to reel in that catch. So a couple were just minor execution issues on plays that were working. So I think the biggest thing that any Chiefs fan has to look for is that we need the offensive line shored up. If the offensive line is playing at a decent level by the playoffs, I don't think there's any reason to be concerned about this offense. I think this offense will be fine, and the Chiefs will be poised to make a deep run. I think the other thing that's encouraging is the defense looked so good in this game. If the defense can continue on that kind of trajectory and the offensive line gets shored up, I think things will be perfectly fine in Kansas City.